Hey everyone!
Hola a todos!
This is Jahaira.
And this is Stephanie, and welcome to Cuento Crimen podcast.
Y aquí on the Cuento Crimen podcast, we are a true crime podcast and we bring a new case every Wednesday.
Cada miércoles.
And these are cases that don't get much media attention, so chances are you haven't heard of some of these cases.
And we cover these cases in spanglish.
Así que agarra a tu abuelita, tu abuelito, tu mamá, tu papá, a quien tú gustes, and come join us every Wednesday for a new true crime case. So this case, a pesar, of it being a very brutal murder, it also brings up the whole controversy on the death row. Like, is this a humane punishment or is it not?
Yeah, I think this conversation is like a lot and it's been going on for a long time. Do you remember in undergrad, you and our other roommates went to a class with me?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Nos invitaste a todas, right?
Yes.
It was like a late class.
It was a late class and it was a psych and law class.
It was a really good
and it was,
lecture.
Yes, this professor was all about death row and like improving the lifestyles of the prisoners. Like it's a lot to take in and like a lot to learn, and you view it differently as well. Like, yeah. But that was such a good class.
I regret not going into psych.
Yeah, that was such a good class.
It was. Thank you for bringing us with you.
Yeah, because I would always talk about it.
She would like come home and she would be so excited.
Yeah.
And she would just be telling us a lecture y todas ahí comiendo dinner. Like, yeah, Steph. Like, yeah. And so that day we just decided to all go with her, and it was very much worth it. Yeah.
They were like, let's go see.
What did she talk about?
Yeah.
So this is like one of those cases that brings up this conversation. And it'll come up later, like, at the end of the investigation. So for now, let's just start with the very beginning. So el caso de hoy tomó lugar en el año 2002. Elizabeth was 21 years old at the time, and she was living in Hartford, Connecticut.
Ella era muy joven and she was super close to her family. Ella era muy cercana a su mamá y también a su hija de 2 años.
So this goes back to like, yeah, she was living with her daughter, but like as a 2-year-old. Como dijiste, you're basically alone. But regardless of everything, Elizabeth lived a pretty normal life. Como dijimos, like, lo bueno que ella tenía el apoyo de su familia, tenía su hija, y ella también ahora tenía una pareja nueva. Her boyfriend's name was Lawrence Hodges, y no encontramos muchos detalles de la relación que ellos tenían, pero parecía que it was a pretty normal, healthy relationship.
El 1 de diciembre del año 2002 fue el último día que Elizabeth fue vista viva.
Y esa noche, Elizabeth le encargó a sus vecinos su hija de 2 años. She had made plans to stay with her boyfriend that night at Lawrence's place. And Lawrence says that, yeah, Elizabeth llegó and she slept over and they had a great time as usual.
Y dice que al día siguiente, Elizabeth regresó a su casa como a las 3 de la tarde. But the weird thing was that she never picked up her daughter.
Her upstairs neighbors, which were the ones watching her daughter, grew worrisome when they say that the day passed by y Elizabeth todavía no llegaba por su hija. Ellos dicen que Elizabeth nunca faltaba en recoger, a la hora que les había dicho.
Yeah, and I feel like también, like, si hay un retraso, like, she would, call them to let them know, you know? Like, being mindful of their schedules as well. Y entonces, también me imagino que as a mom, you're also eager to pick up your kids, like you're going to be...
Yeah.
That's going to be your priority.
And also, like, especially, like, because she left it during the night, like, the way that her neighbors described it, it was like, okay, yeah, you'll see, like, she'll spend the night, but I'll be back, like, first thing tomorrow, type of thing. Entonces, ellos, like, se les hizo muy raro que Elizabeth, like, faltó en llegar. Y entonces, yeah, like, the following day... Elizabeth no llega, entonces sus vecinos fueron al apartamento de ella just to check up on her and just maybe check if she was even home and if she was okay, or como dices tú, like maybe a hiccup came up.
And so when they get to the apartment, they were not expecting what they found. Ellos encontraron a Elizabeth ahí tirada en un charco de sangre.
Y de inmediato ellos llamaron a la policía, y cuando llegaron a la policía, it was just crystal clear that this was a homicide.
Yeah, I mean, the investigators found blood everywhere. It was all over the kitchen floor, the walls, on her bed, and even on her baby's crib. Like, this was just like the crime scene,
I just want to say, like, I'm very glad that the baby was not home. The fact that, there was even blood on the baby's crib, that means she was just trying to get everywhere in that apartment. Like, it was a fight.
It was a fight, yeah, because, like, that's, like, so many locations.
Yeah, exactly. And thankfully the baby was away at the neighbors and she was okay.
Now I'm thinking about the whole crime scene because it seems like there's apartments, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like apartment complex. And there was a lot going on in this crime scene, from like the kitchen to the bedroom and like back and forth, right? There's like blood everywhere. So I'm wondering, did anyone not hear her scream for help?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. When we were researching, no habló de nada de eso, huh? Like that didn't come to the surface. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking like maybe whoever did this kind of threatened her not to scream, or I don't know. Maybe sometimes we're just a bit too busy with our days.
That's true.
Really, I don't know. But like if someone's being murdered, you are going to think that they're screaming in agony, no?
Yeah. I guess that also it takes a lot for someone else to hear these screams and actually do something about it. You know, like there's that aspect to it.
Maybe they did hear it and just like dismissed it.
But like honestly, I feel like someone had to hear it because sometimes I'll be in here and like you can hear kids playing outside and like that's like a little bit down the street kind of thing. So if I can hear that, I can definitely, hear someone screaming for help, you know?
Huh. Yeah, now I wonder.
Pero again, disclaimer, no hubo mucha información sobre este caso. So the information that we have is limited. Yeah. And right now we were just like, I don't know, like trying to assume or like trying to puzzle things together. So that's
just a thought that came as we were recording.
But yeah, there's no information to confirm that.
Yeah. It's sad when we can't get much small details in cases because sometimes like we don't really get the full picture. Like this, I feel like that would be crucial kind of. Pero lo que sí supieron fue cómo murió Elizabeth. Her cause of death was strangulation. But before that, like before she passed, whoever was responsible for this caused a lot of trauma to her.
Yeah, as we kept researching, we found that this person also raped her, and this person beat her up so bad que su ojo izquierdo was completely swollen shut, and her lips were purple.
Elizabeth was also stabbed, and sorry y'all, this is a bit graphic, but she was stabbed 5 times in an arc shape, and this was all along her spine, and it went through like her right shoulder. And she was also punctured 3 more times along her hairline in the back of her head.
Yeah.
Like in her head.
That's gruesome.
And I think about it. If you touch your head, your skull is so hard.
Yeah.
How does a human even do that?
Yeah, that's like we're like touching our foreheads.
I'm like feeling my forehead. And imagine like
because it's different. Like I don't know, right? There's probably big differences from being stabbed in your stomach, like that's like fluffy versus like your head.
But it's like cuando yo leí eso, I was like, wait, like it feels, and along your hairline, like that's where it's the hardest.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Y también leímos que muchos de los golpes que tenía ella eran de self-defense. They were able to conclude that she was like fighting for her life.
Yeah, she was fighting, and I guess that also makes sense as to why there was blood everywhere in that apartment. I don't know. It's a brutal case. Like this person clearly maybe had a motive, but like what I know is like they had no heart for them to do this.
Yeah.
Y sí encontraron semen around her private area, which indicates that she could have been raped. Pero dice su novio que, la noche anterior, they were intimate themselves, so perhaps it could have been his.
And again, we're sorry to say, but we didn't find anything on this topic. Like if whether or not they tested it or looked into it. But we did read, the articles did state that, she was sexually abused.
Yeah. So I guess that's all we really know. And then maybe they did test it, but it just came back.
It wasn't on the article or something,
Yeah. And entonces todos se preguntaban, ¿quién le pudo haber hecho tanto daño a Elizabeth? And for a while, things kind of stayed the same in this case. Pero después de 10 meses, su vecino, Lozelle Ashby, was arrested.
So, a quick fact about him, él había cumplido 18 años just 3 days after Elizabeth's body was found. So,
he was so young. Like, he wasn't even a full adult when he committed this crime. Y no sabemos mucho del motivo de esta persona. Like, again, information was limited and we just don't know his motives. Like, could have been his motive to rape her and then, it just escalated to him killing her. Like, we don't really know.
como dijimos aquí en este podcast, cada cabeza es un mundo. We don't know how long this person was planning this, you know.
Or why he targeted Elizabeth.
And again, here we wish that we had more information to share with y'all because it's honestly a bit unclear as to how they got him. Like, we kind of read that he was arrested for a different crime, and then like this is how
he got connected
to Elizabeth Garcia. Like, we don't know if he shared this information to them or if he was already on the radar for Elizabeth Garcia. So we're not too sure, but he got arrested. And again, we also don't know what his motives were, you know? And for this crime, at first, he was given the death penalty.
Y la mamá de Elizabeth, we saw and we read many interviews that she had, and it seems like she was all for this punishment, like the death penalty. She was really counting on the sentence, and she said that it kind of made her feel better about the situation. Ultimately, the death penalty was ruled as unconstitutional in the state of Connecticut, y entonces Lazal had his sentence reappealed.
And so then he was sentenced to life in prison. And la mamá de Elizabeth wasn't too happy with this because, as Jahaira said, she was for this, you know, penalty. And we did find a quote from her, and I quote, "The only hope that I had for him to be confined and miserable for the rest of his life, they're taking that away too," end quote.
I feel like from the interviews that we saw, like she's carrying a lot of resentment towards, you know, the person que mató a su hija. And I mean, in a sense, it's understandable because, you know, he took a big part of her life, you know, like how does someone cope with that? Or like, you know, I don't know, just like to keep living your life with that void. Yeah. It's tough, you know, and honestly, like she seemed very upset that they took that sentence away from.
Yeah. And I think we see the different cases where some people are for it and some aren't. And honestly, like it's understandable both ways, you know, like if they take your loved one, like I don't even know how I would react, like how what I would want in that moment.
You would have to be in that
Yes, position. I can't really put myself in that situation because I really don't know, you know? Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, like a life sentence sounds good, but the fact that knowing they're still alive kind of would bug me too. I don't know what I would want, you know?
It's deep, and I feel like it's a conversation that's never really going to have the end of it. I think just because different people have different ideas of what's ethical and what's not. And so I just feel like it's never going to, like no one's ever going to fully agree with either side. So
it's complicated.
Yeah, it's really complicated.
But the resentment and like the hurt that she has, like that's understandable and like
valid.
You know, yeah.
So it's tricky, and we would love to know what you all think about the death penalty.
Yeah.
Like, should it be ruled as unconstitutional, or is it constitutional?
That's a big topic, so.
I know, and it's also, it kind of does go into like the political side of it. Steph and I aren't too much part of, but but we would love to know what you all think, or like even in this case, like did he deserve the death penalty or not?
Let us know what you think, and we're always on Instagram. That's our main platform.
If you want to chat, we're always there. So come over, let us know. That's about it for Elizabeth's episode. Thank you so much for the person that shared it with us. We're glad to say, you know, that in this case, the person responsible was found and is now serving time, because I feel like we don't get to say that in many of our episodes. Entonces, that's about it. And we will see you all next week.